welcome to this hour. My name is Aminata Fofana. Coming up in this edition, President Julius Maada Bio officially commissioned the Julius Maada Bio International Conference Center and the ECOWAS Logistics Depot in Lungwe. The Sahelian National Commission for UNESCO commences a nationwide public awareness campaign in schools aiming to promote digital literacy and responsible use of social media among pupils and students. And UNICEF, in partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, concludes refreshers training of trainers for teachers on foundational learning. These and more stories coming up in the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the 69th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has ended with a renewed call for unity, stronger regional cooperation, and African-led solutions to West Africa's growing challenges. The summit also marked a leadership transition, with Senegalese president taking over as the new chairman of the ECOWAS Authority. Host of the summit, President Julius Maada Bio welcomed his fellow heads of state and called for unity and decisive action to confront the region's security, democratic, and economic challenges. He said Sahel remains committed to strengthening ECOWAS integration and advancing peace and sustainable development across the region. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Aliyu Toure, urged leaders to champion African-led solutions to regional problems. He said the future of ECOWAS depends on dialogue, solidarity, and inclusive policies driven by West Africans. Dr. Toure also reaffirmed the Commission's commitment to democracy, gender equality, and improving the lives of citizens across the community's 15 member states. The summit ended with a leadership handover. President Bassirou of Senegal assumed the chairmanship of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, succeeding President Julius Maada Bio, who said, and I quote, "After fulfilling my mandatory one-year term as chairman of the ECOWAS Authority, I am delighted to pass the mantle of leadership to my younger brother, His Excellency Bassirou Diomaye Dakar, President of the Republic of Senegal." President Bio said that leading ECOWAS through defining moments has been a profound privilege for him.
Excellencies, this summit of the future calls us to reflect on where ECOWAS has come from and where our community must go next. The future is a responsibility that demands foresight, preparation, and collective action. It is shaped by the choices we make, the capabilities that we build, and the risks we confront before they become crises. Foresight, therefore, is an expression of sovereignty. Those who anticipate change retain the freedom to shape their future. Those who only react to events gradually surrender that freedom to decisions made elsewhere. We meet at a moment of profound change. Strategic competition is reshaping international partnerships. Capital, technology, energy, critical minerals, food systems, data, artificial intelligence are redefining economic and geopolitical influence. At the same time, climate shocks are placing increasing pressure on national budgets, while conflicts far beyond our borders continue to disrupt supplies of food, fuel, and fertilizer. Within our region, terrorism, violent extremism, organized crime, cybercrime, and unconstitutional changes of government continue to test our collective resolve. Our young people are rightly demanding opportunity. ECOWAS Vision 2050 offers a compelling destination, a peaceful, integrated, and prosperous West Africa, founded on democratic governance and driven by the energy and creativity of its people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, strong institutions must be matched by sustained investment in the people that they serve. Our greatest strategic asset is the talent, creativity, and resilience of our people. West Africa's youth population has the potential to become one of the world's greatest engines of innovation and economic growth. However, without education, skills, and opportunities, that demographic advantage can too easily become a source of unemployment, irregular migration, and instability. Our education systems must therefore prepare our citizens for the economies we seek to build by strengthening foundational learning, expanding technical and vocational education, investing in science and digital skills, and forging stronger partnerships between education and industry.
Our community confronted unconstitutional changes of government, political transition, terrorism and violent extremism, economic shocks, climate-related challenges, humanitarian pressures, and shifting geopolitical realities. Most significantly, we were confronted with the unprecedented withdrawal of 3 member states from our community. Yet, throughout these challenges, ECOWAS remained steadfast. Now, looking back over the past 4 years, we can take legitimate pride in the progress we have achieved together. We strengthened governance and accountability across our institutions and deepened policy coordination among member states. We reintroduced democratic governance and electoral support mechanisms, while strengthening regional responses to security and humanitarian challenges. We enhanced our cooperation in combating terrorism, violent extremism, organized crime, and other transnational threats that continue to undermine stability and development. We also advanced strategic infrastructure projects that are fundamental to our collective future. The African Atlantic Gas Pipeline stands as one of the most transformative initiatives ever undertaken in our region. By connecting several West African coastal states through a major energy corridor, it promises to enhance energy security, support industrialization, create jobs, and strengthen economic interdependence. We continue to advance the Abidjan-Lagos Corridor Highway project, expanded regional electricity interconnections under the West Africa Power Pool, and promoted the modernization of trade and transport corridors essential for facilitating the free movement of goods, services, and people.
Now, the Sierra Leone National Commission for UNESCO has commenced a national public awareness campaign in schools aimed at promoting digital literacy and the responsible use of social media among pupils and students. The initiative, which runs from January to December 2026 under the theme Responsible Use of Social Media, seeks to empower young people with the knowledge and skills needed to become responsible digital citizens while promoting safe and positive online engagement. Jonathan Turner reports.
The campaign recently reached several junior and senior secondary schools in the western area rural districts, including Mountain Rural Secondary School in Regent's Village, War Wounded Academy in Grafton, Lady Patricia Kaba Memorial School in Goderich, and Services Secondary School in Juba. Activities at the schools began with interactive group engagements during which pupils discussed key issues relating to digital literacy, online safety, responsible communication, and the impact of social media on their lives and communities. Following the discussions, pupils made presentations highlighting recommendations they had developed with their peers on how to use digital platforms more responsibly and safely. The discussions focused on promoting digital citizenship, protecting one's digital footprints, thinking before posting online, using technology for positive social impact, and fostering respect and responsible behavior across digital platforms. Addressing participants, the Secretary General of the Sierra Leone National Commission for UNESCO, Dr. Mohamed Kombo Kamanda, spoke on the importance of equipping young people with the knowledge to navigate the digital world responsibly. He noted that digital literacy is no longer optional, but an essential life skill that enables young people to make informed decisions, protect themselves online, and contribute positively to national development.
To guard against some of the dangers of using it wrongly. For instance, to avoid using social media to cyberbully others. To know what the do's and the don'ts are. To be able to keep their guards up when they use social media. When they see information, they should be critical in analyzing what this message is about. Who sent it? Is it credible or not credible? These are the sort of skills we want to give them so that they can benefit themselves, their friends, their families, and their communities.
Pupils who participated in the awareness sessions pledged to become ambassadors of responsible social media use in their respective schools and communities. They promised to educate their peers on the importance of respectful online communication, protecting personal information, and using digital platforms to promote peace, learning, and national development.
Responsible social media influencers. So we promise to work hard and always work towards ourselves in terms of cyberbullying in school and other
knowledge in our mind. I hope once you give us, we can be able to put it and put it, and we can be able to share it.
The Sierra Leone National Commission for UNESCO said the campaign will continue in schools across the country throughout the year, targeting pupils, students, teachers, and school communities as part of efforts to build stronger, informed communities through digital literacy and responsible communication. For SLBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
UNICEF, in partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education, has concluded a refreshers training of trainers for teachers on foundational learning. The training aims towards strengthening and improving teachers' capacity and providing quality teaching and learning materials to nearly 1.5 million children across the country. Yusuf Mosiri Suma was at the closing session and compiled this report.
Another one, and Ebonia. It is a global partnership for education-supported foundational learning program, helping Sierra Leone improve education quality by strengthening teachers' capacity, expanding access to learning materials, improving educational data systems, and generating evidence to support better decision-making. The format comprised classroom-based training sessions that targeted teachers from pre-primary to primary 3 levels, and it was centered on literacy and numeracy to help improve learning outcomes for children. Chelsea Lavallee is the Global Partnership for Education Coordinator at UNICEF. She said it is a $50 million grants project from Global Partnership for Education given to the government of Sierra Leone, and it is a child-centered approach that will strengthen and capacitate children with the basic skills.
When they get to secondary level and eventually when they get to the workplace, they're at a disadvantage because they don't have the basic skills that underline everything that they need to do when they have a job. So that's why UNICEF is focusing on the earliest years now, so that as they continue to go through the education system in junior, secondary, and senior secondary level, they're able to build on those skills and increase their competitiveness in the workplace.
Deputy Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education, Emily Kadiatu Gogora, thanked UNICEF and the Global Partnership for Education for providing such a timely opportunity for teachers and pupils. She said the ministry has already set up a monitoring mechanism to ensure the full implementation of the projects across the country. The Deputy Minister assured the public of full inclusion of primary pupils living with disability in the project.
We have the radical inclusion policy from 2022 and up to date, and we do practice it. Now, we have some of these trainers. They are not visually impaired, but they have some impairments. But when you go to the schools, you see children that are visually impaired. They are not eliminated. They are included in the system, and they are helped to play, they are helped to learn. And we are practicing it, and we move along with it up to the foundational level and up to basic education and senior secondary education.
As the training concludes, participants said they've learned new teaching delivery methods from the traditional way of delivery, which will help boost their confidence and the pupils in the classroom and further boost the education sector in Sierra Leone.
Being here has helped me not only to understand the concept, but to also know that with this concept comes with practicals that you can teach the kids that will help them to develop holistically.
Through play, you can insert every single learning activity inside that play. If you want the children to count, it can be done through play. The alphabet, sounds, everything can be done with play. So instead of using that rote learning, repeat after me, this and that, we are going to play. Let it be enjoyable so children will love education and they won't see it as punishment.
SLBC News, Yusuf Mosiri Suma, Freetown.
I'm fine, you're fine, we're fine. Thank you, how are you?
Parliament, meanwhile, has endorsed a private member motion through the Leader of Government's Business to guarantee legal protection for former presidents Ernest Baikroma following discontinuation of all charges against him. The motion also advocates for support to families affected by the November 26, 2023 failed coup. Lawmakers stressed that the move is aimed at strengthening national cohesion. However, critics question its based on accountability and the rule of law. Our parliamentary correspondent, Dennis Fraser, tells us more.
Our similarities are far greater than our differences, were exact words of Leader of Government Business as he pushes a private member motion for the legal protection of former President Ernest Baikroma. However, the private member bill was clouded with resolutions promulgated by the House to bring to law the safeguarding of the welfare of former President and Vice President, and also to support families affected by the failed coup.
Number 3, that the Clerk of Parliament draft a resolution in this regard. approved by this House, and the same be served on His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I therefore humbly move that this honorable House adopt this motion in the supreme interest of national cohesion, peace, security, reconciliation, and consolidating of our democracy.
While seconding the motion, the leader of the opposition, Honorable Abdul Kabo, maintained that the legal framework was safeguarding the welfare of former presidents and their families, will help reduce political tension and would promote national unity. He commended the government for the move, while adding that the AG acted in the interest of the general good of the nation.
This generation has an Achilles task, and I want to commend His Excellency the President for this trajectory. For all those who are of the opinion that this decision acted against the law, it's not correct. The AG is constitutionally and statutorily empowered to decide whether a criminal proceeding should continue or should be discontinued. And this is what he used rather than a political consensus.
Across the aisles, MPs praised the move, which they noted will strengthen the peaceful coexistence of the people. Some even proposed the formation of an elderly council to be tasked with the responsibility of advising the president on critical matters. The debate was also of much interest to Paramount Chief's representatives, who promised to proliferate the resolution far and wide. Although it was clear that initiative in the form of a private member motion received unanimous support from both sides of the political divide, including Paramount Chiefs, the partial approach was seen as a groundbreaking moment for Sierra Leone's political history. But the question that still remains on the lips of many Sierra Leoneans outside the four walls of Parliament revolves around transparency and accountability, without which might erode public trust.
Julius Madabio had earlier inspected key facilities in the hospitality sector ahead of the ECOWAS Media Summit scheduled at the International Conference Center in Lungi. Our status correspondent Margaret Senge reports.
The countdown to ECOWAS Authority Heads of State Media Summit is on. President Julius Madabio, who also chairs the ECOWAS Authority of Head of States, toured the newly built Lungi International Conference Center to inspect final preparations. The state-of-the-art facility located in Lungi, Kafubulom Chiefdom, Potloko District, will host regional leaders for the summit. The president inspected the multipurpose hall, banquet hall, presidential lounge, and conference rooms, among others, named after distinguished Sierra Leone landmarks. During the tour, he met with officials overseeing the project. He called for final improvements to synergize the branding and visitors' experience to ensure the venue is ready for the summit. The inspection showed that preparations are in the final stages. President Bio said, hosting the summit gives Sierra Leone a chance to showcase its hospitality, infrastructure, and ability to host major international events, and regional leaders meet to discuss peace, security, and regional integration. Reporting for SLBC News, I am Margaret Senge.
Residents of Lungi Kafubulom Chiefdom, Potloko District, have expressed optimism of the economic benefits for the Julius Madabio International Conference Center, what it will bring to the locality. Joseph Touré tells us more.
This is the newly built Julius Maada Bio International Conference Center. The state-of-the-art facility is located in Lunge, Kafubulom Chiefdom, Port Loko District. It is one modern infrastructure in Sierra Leone that is tied to the travel and hospitality industries. The International Conference Center also gives the country the opportunity to showcase what its hospitality sector can offer to host major international events.
The benefit of this investment, we extend well beyond the walls that we see. Every international conference hosted here will generate business for hotels, restaurants, transport operators, tourism, enterprises, and small businesses.
To the tourism sector, it is a big boost.
This alone has increased our tourism marketability and our branding, and I really feel that this is the way to go because Sierra Leone has a lot of tourism appeal for the entire world to see.
For the locals, it is a dream come true for them as they have yearned for such development over the years.
This facility means a lot for the people of Kapulo and the entire country because having this international conference center is an added value to the airport and the country. As a community, local people are very happy for this facility, really.
Another resident by Shekawuri tells me the facility will boost trade and create more jobs for them.
I mean, the business will grow, you know. Then, I mean, the hotels, we need good roads, you know, because in any place you go with kind of development, I mean, there should be good roads, good hospitals, good schools, you know, proper educational system.
You know, once the conference hall is completed, we are going to have a lot of conferences that are going to be taking place in Lunge. So we have a strategic marketing team and everything. So we are going to benefit from it.
Right now, program there, like what they taught me market so, what they come, like what they cancel. And they sell all.
It puts Sierra Leone a step ahead in the sub-region to host international events.
The distance between the Freetown International Airport and the Julius Maada Bio International Conference Center is about 200 meters. This serves as an advantage to many who may visit Sierra Leone and may not necessarily cross the Atlantic Ocean to get to the capital Freetown for business or job or conferences. Here, locals are optimistic of the economic benefits this infrastructure will bring to them. For SLBC, I am Joseph Toure, reporting from Freetown International Airport, Lunge.
The 69th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers has taken place in Freetown at a critical point for West Africa. Held at the Bintumani Hall in Aberdeen ahead of the 69th ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State Summit, the session focused on issues that directly affect citizens across the bloc, ranging from security threats to economic pressures and the fallout from the withdrawal of these member states. Esther Sako compiled this report.
The session brings together ministers, commissioners, chief negotiators, diplomats, development partners, and representatives of ECOWAS institutions. Deliberations will cover regional peace and security, economic integration, infrastructure development, trade and investment, humanitarian issues, and implementation of decisions from the Authority of Heads of State and Government. ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Umar Ali Toure described the past 4 years as a period defined by complex political transitions, evolving security threats, and an increasingly fragile global environment. He noted the withdrawal of 3 member states as a major challenge, pointed to achievements aimed at strengthening the bloc. He cited the operationalization of the Permanent Representatives Committee, completion of the VUM Eco Bridge, and the launch of the ECOWAS Business Council chaired by Alhaji Aliko Dankote. He also referenced the relocation of the Commission to its new headquarters in Abuja this year. The president urged the council to focus on turning the vision of integration into steps that respond to current realities.
Our focus must now be on translating our shared vision into concrete actions that respond to the changing realities of our region. The agenda before you is both comprehensive and forward-looking. During this session, we will consider the 2026 interim report on the state of the community, review the financial position of the community, assess the implementation of decisions taken by previous sessions of council, and consider reports from the ad hoc ministerial committee and the judicial council on the selection and evaluation of the performance of statutory appointments.
Sierra Leone's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and Chair of the ECOWAS Council of Ministers framed ECOWAS's strength around the unity and political will of member states. Alhaji Timothy Kaba identified the region's immediate pressures as a geopolitical shift, climate change, youth unemployment, food insecurity, terrorism, violent extremism, and constitutional disruptions. He stressed that dialogue and cooperation remain essential for finding collective solutions to these problems.
This meeting offers another opportunity to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to dialogue, consensus building, and regional cooperation. By upholding these enduring principles, we can continue to preserve peace, strengthen democratic governance, deepen economic integration, and improve the lives of our citizens who look to ECOWAS as a beacon of hope and opportunity.
For member states, the council meeting is about translating regional commitment into practical action. The agenda covers institutional reforms to make ECOWAS more responsive to infrastructure, trade, and coordinated responses to terrorism, climate change, and food security. The ministers are expected to prepare decisions that protect free movement, stabilize markets, and create opportunities for young people. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
Earlier, Sierra Leone played host to the 56th ordinary session of the ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council at the ministerial level. Regional leaders gathered to address pressing security, political, and humanitarian challenges in West Africa. Esther Sako again.
The session came at a time when the regional bloc has been faced with numerous challenges not limited to climate change, terrorism, and violent extremism. For the first time, Sierra Leone is playing host to such an important event to chart on democratic consolidation, peaceful political transition, and national efforts towards dialogue, reconciliation, and institutional reforms. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Umar Aliou Touré, painted a sobering picture of the region's realities, highlighting key threats such as transnational organized crimes and humanitarian crises affecting millions. Despite these difficulties, he pointed to the region's resilience and examples of successful democratic transitions, positioning Sierra Leone's own post-conflict recovery as an inspiring model. He emphasized the importance of collective resolve, collaboration, and translating discussions into actionable outcomes to protect citizens and advance regional integration.
We must strengthen our collective capacity to participate, prevent, and respond to emerging threats. We must invest more in preventive diplomacy, mediation, and peace building. We must reinforce our institutions and ensure that our peace and security architecture is adequately equipped to address contemporary challenges.
Sierra Leone's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and Chair of the Mediation and Security Council, Alhaji Timothy Kaba, emphasized the session's critical importance in strengthening peace, security, democratic governance, and regional integration amid a complex global and regional environment. He said the ministerial session would review detailed report from the Permanent Representatives Committee on the political, peace, security and humanitarian situation across West Africa. He reaffirmed Sierra Leone's full commitment to the ECOWAS process and called for practical recommendations that can be forwarded to the heads of state and government.
ECOWAS has demonstrated considerable resilience. Consequently, this session necessitates a more proactive approach to thoroughly evaluate our preparedness across various domains in order to prevent, manage, and resolve ongoing political transitions as well as emerging conflicts among member states.
The 56th ministerial session is expected to produce concrete outcomes to bolster ECOWAS's peace and security architecture and support long-term stability and integration in the sub-region. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
The Minister of Employment, Labour and Social Security, Mohamed Rahman Soare, has called for holistic approaches for implementing provisions in the ILO Convention 189 and key provisions relating to Sierra Leone through legal context and lessons learned on best practices across the sub-region. Minister Soare was speaking at the Family Kingdom Resort during a stakeholder workshop to identify policies and operational gaps and generate actionable recommendations for strengthening national framework on the safety and protection of domestic workers. Dennis Fraser reports.
As part of efforts in moving the agenda forward on creating decent work for local and migrant domestic workers, the stakeholder workshop was geared towards strengthening collaboration and advancing policies that promote decent work, dignity, and improved labor conditions for domestic workers across Sierra Leone, while developing practical tools and strategies.
Each member state has to ensure that there is this protection for the domestic worker. Must extend to all forms of psychological, physical, harassment, and verbal. Because verbal abuse leads to psychological abuse.
The convention is ours, right? It's protecting our rights, right? But what is on paper might not be exactly what is happening. So if I read that the convention says you are supposed to have a minimum wage, for example. On your piece of paper, you tick if you are receiving a minimum wage. If you are not, you put an X.
The focus was also on reinforcing collaboration with all relevant stakeholders in order to advance effective implementation of the Convention 189 in Sierra Leone.
Between labor inspectors, employers, organizations, and workers' organizations is essential. Labor inspection should be viewed not only as a mechanism for enforcement, but also as a means of education, guidance, and continuous improvement.
Bearing this in mind, the Minister of Employment, Labour and Social Security, Mohamed Rahman Soare, called for a holistic approach for implementing provisions in the ILO Convention 189 and key provisions relating to Sierra Leone through legal context and lessons learned on best practices across the sub-region.
Since ratifying this convention in August 2021, Sierra Leone enacted the Migrant Workers Act, which attempts to resolve some of the key and critical challenges faced by domestic workers both at home and abroad. Some of the steps we have taken includes documenting the whole process of recruiting domestic workers, particularly for overseas deployment.
The Domestic Workers Convention 189 is an international labor treaty adopted by the International Labour Organization in June 2011. Since its adoption, the government and other stakeholders have been making frantic efforts for the implementation of ILO Convention 189, including key rights and protection for domestic workers, while encouraging ratifying states to own up to their obligations. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting.
Wilberforce Circuit of the Methodist Church Sierra Leone held its annual lay preachers Thanksgiving service and awards ceremony, celebrating decades of faithful service to the church. The event, which took place at Salem Methodist Church in Aberdeen, was graced by the resident bishop who delivered a powerful message on God's calling of imperfect people. Our reporter Esther Sako brings us the details.
It was a joyous celebration of dedication and service as the Wilberforce Circuit honored its long-standing lay preachers at Salem Methodist Church, Aberdeen. Under the theme Faithful in Service, Fruitful in Ministry, taken from John 15:16, members, choir and church leaders gathered to give thanks to God for the impactful ministries of several outstanding lay preachers. In his message, resident Bishop, retired Reverend Dr. A.D. Demby, reminded the congregation that God often calls ordinary and imperfect people for extraordinary divine purposes. The bishop highlighted biblical examples including Abraham, Gideon, and Moses as men who felt inadequate yet were mightily used by God. Several lay preachers were honored for the outstanding service. Among them was Brother Victor Kitcole, who was recently unanimously elected as the new lay president of the Methodist Church Sierra Leone. Victor Cole was recognized for his decades of leadership, including his service as senior society steward at Ebenezer Methodist Church, Morristown, and his role as chairman of the Property and Investment Committee.
Our hard work, commitment, and selflessness in various ministries, businesses and callings are not gone unnoticed, also because they are not fulfilled. This is the testament of the fact that whatever we do, is working happily for the Lord, gives great fruit as our bishop has written.
Other honorees included Sister Anna Kawale, fully accredited lay preacher since 1985, who has preached across the circuit and even in Britain. Brother Aaron D. Cole was noted for his punctual and disciplined preaching ministry. Sister Regina Mandy, who served faithfully for 41 years before retiring due to age and health, rose to become the second female president and later mother of the local Preachers Mutual Aid Association. The service was marked by heartfelt tribute, thanksgiving offerings, and powerful singing as the church expressed gratitude to God for these faithful servants whose labor has touched many lives and strengthened the Methodist Church in Sierra Leone. The Methodist Church Sierra Leone says these awards are not just a recognition of past service, but an encouragement for the next generation of lay preachers to remain faithful in their calling. SLBC News, Esther Sako reporting.
Justice Mark Giba has sentenced one Saliu Kamara for giving out his daughter, a minor, to early marriage contrary to law. Saliu initially pleaded not guilty of the offense, but later admitted that he meant no harm to his daughter. Wabid Kroma was in court.
The convict Saliu Kamara, when appeared before Justice Mark Giba on allegations of giving his daughter to early marriage, pleaded guilty of the offense charged, contrary to his initial plea of not guilty to the second count, which stated that on the 7th May this year, he consented to child marriage of his daughter. The state prosecutor, Yusuf Isaac Sise, when addressing the court, said the victim was living with her uncle, who later took her to her dad, Saliu Kamara, to seek his consent and give his blessings to the marriage. He added that the convict's statement was consistent with the one he made to the police. The defense lawyer pleaded for mercy on behalf of his client, stating that the father meant no harm to his own child considering his age. However, the state prosecutor reminded the bench that the offense committed was against Section 3 of the Prohibition of the Child Marriage Act of 2024, and it amounts to a custodial sentence of 15 years or pay a fine equivalent to 100,000 leones or both imprisonment and fine. The defendant in his plea mitigation pleaded that the courts temper justice with mercy considering his age and health status. He continued that he never had bad intentions for his own daughter. He said it was the girl herself who brought the groom to him for his blessings, and being that he is sick and of old age, he thought the man will be a son to him and he would take care of his daughter, which was why he confided with her elder sisters and later decided to consent to the marriage. The defense lawyer pleaded with the judge to have mercy on his client and to consider a minimum fine. Having heard the convict's plea mitigation and considered the offense charged, Justice Magegba sentenced the convict to 15 years or he paid the sum of 100,000 leones as stated in the act. For SLBC, Mohamed Koma reporting.
Fonasisi Cummins and Co. Chambers has held a solemn service of remembrance and opened a book of condolence in honor of Barrister Daniel Tambagbondo at the Bar Street Faith Assembly of God Church in Freetown. The memorial service brought together members of the legal fraternity, family members, friends, colleagues, church members, and associates to celebrate the life and legacy of a distinguished lawyer, pastor, and development practitioner whose dedication to justice and national service left a lasting impact on Sierra Leone. Jonathan Turner reports.
Barrister Daniel Tamba Bondo was remembered as a man of integrity, humility, and an unwavering commitment to the rule of law. He received his early education at Maboka Boys School before pursuing higher studies, earning a Bachelor of Arts degree in Sociology from Forabe College, a Master of Science in Research and Public Policy, and an LLB Honours from the University of London. He later obtained his barrister's law qualification from the Ceylon Law School and was called to the bar in December 2018. For more than 6 years, Barrister Bondo served as a legal practitioner at Fonasisi Cummins and Co. Chambers. During his time with the firm, he earned the admiration of clients and colleagues alike for his professionalism, compassion, and commitment to defending the rights of vulnerable, resolving disputes amicably, and upholding justice with distinction. Before joining the legal practice, he made significant contributions to Sierra Leone's development sector through his work with GIZ, USAID, and the Foundation for Environmental Security and Sustainability. His work focused on promoting transparency in the extractive industry, strengthening local governance, and supporting sustainable livelihoods and environmental protection for artisanal mining communities in Sierra Leone and neighboring Liberia. Speakers at the Remembrance Service describe him as an accomplished legal practitioner with extensive knowledge of the laws of Sierra Leone. They also paid tribute to his qualities as a diligent researcher, effective communicator, and dependable team player and devoted pastor who consistently placed service above self.
On Amazon. He paid for shipping and all those books. When we opened the books, we saw all the answers.
The opening of the Book of Condolence gave mourners the opportunity to sign messages of sympathy and shared cherished memories of the late legal luminary. For SLBC News, Jonathan Turner reporting.
Connex Fuel Station at Pademba Road has been found wanting of not dispensing the right amount of fuel according to the required standards set by the NPRA. This disclosure was made during the commencement of a nationwide monitoring exercise by the National Consumer Protection Commission in collaboration with the National Petroleum Regulatory Authority (NPRA) to ensure that fuel stations dispense the correct quantity of fuel to consumers. Aminata Bangura went along and compiled this report.
The exercise involved inspections at several fuel stations, including NP Fuel Station at Yaka Stevens Street, Connex Fuel Station at Pademba Road, and Leonco Fuel Station at Lightfoot Boston Street in Freetown, as well as other stations across the country. During the inspection, officials used a calibrated measuring gallon to test the accuracy of fuel dispensing pumps. The gallon, which has already been measured and marked, enabled inspectors to verify whether the quantity of fuel dispensed by each pump matched the required measurements. Among the 7 fuel stations inspected, which the SLBC was present, only Connex Fuel Station at Pademba Road was found wanting of not dispensing the right amount of fuel according to the required standards set by the NPRA. The Director of Operations and Pricing at the National Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Samura and Sumana Tunti, said that about 90% of the fuel stations visited were found to be compliant with the required standards. He explained that the inspection equipment used had been properly calibrated by the chemistry laboratory to ensure accurate measurements.
We are out across, not only in Freetown, but across the country, to just qualify measurements across gas stations all over the country. Our sister agency, Sierra Leone Standards Bureau, does calibration and metrology for all gas stations across the country. We have had complaints from citizens and ordinary members of the public complaining about measurements. So we want to qualify their statement or debunk what they are saying. That's why we are out today.
The Chief Executive Officer of the National Consumer Protection Commission of Sierra Leone, Lawrence Bassi, said the exercise was due to several complaints from consumers alleging that some fuel pumps dispense less fuel than the amount paid for.
I want to let the public know that government is doing everything within its power, bearing in mind that petroleum products are essential commodities that will impact the lives of people. People take transportation. Now, if they are paying for fuel they are not getting and they are surcharged, definitely negatively impacts their lives and livelihoods.
Both institutions reaffirm commitment to conducting regular inspections and working with stakeholders to ensure that fuel stations continue to comply with national regulations and that consumers receive the correct amount of fuel they paid for. SLBC, Aminata Bangura reporting.
And with that, we wrap the news. But before we go, here is a recap of the main points. President Julius Maada Bio has officially commissioned the Julius Maada Bio International Conference Center and the ECOWAS Logistics Depot in Lunge. Regional leaders say the 2 landmark facilities will create jobs, boost trade, strengthen regional security, and position Sierra Leone as a hub for diplomacy and economic integration in West Africa. The Sierra Leone National Commission for UNESCO has commenced a nationwide public awareness campaign in schools. The initiative, under the theme Responsible Use of Social Media, seeks to empower young people with the knowledge and skills needed to become responsible digital citizens while promoting safe and positive online engagements. And UNICEF, in partnership with the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary School Education, has concluded refreshers training of trainers for teachers on foundational learning. The training aims to strengthen and improve teachers' capacity and providing quality teaching and learning materials to nearly 1.5 million children. That's all in the news. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.